consensus decision-making processes are used, so there's no hierarchical leadership structure. So people are able to communicate with each other in these mass meetings where in a system where one person makes a short statement and other people echo that statement in unison and communicate in this sort of group process. And so this is an innovative technique, but it isn't the first time this technique has been used. In fact, I myself was involved in something called the World Social Forum, which is a process very similar to this, where people were involved in what they termed participative. Can I get that? Participatory. I got the word. Participatory democracy, where in order to make sure everybody's voices were present in the discussion, this system was created so that folks could be able to speak no matter who they were without any sort of title or hierarchy, making it difficult for folks to get their ideas in the forum. And so the World Social Forum in of itself came out of the 1999 Seattle protests against the World Trade Organization, which was another movement which some people call the anti-globalization movement, that was primarily focused on fighting against economic inequality as experienced worldwide in what people then termed third world countries. And so that movement itself grew out of movements against corporate greed and sweatshops in the early 90s, and you can trace all of these movements down to leftist movements in the 1960s, which promoted both participatory democracy and an approach to social change which didn't depend on charismatic leadership and which didn't depend on hierarchy. And so the Occupy movement has been focused on this. They believe that this process reinforces solidarity, encourages people to speak up. Like I said, it opens the floor to numerous ideas. But in the beginning, this is the third point I want to make. In the beginning, when this process was initially used, there were some bumps in the road, so to speak. One bump in the road happened early on in the process, and I have here a direct quote for somebody who was a member of Occupy back on the 29th of September on Ground Zero, Zuccotti Park in New York. And during that time, the movement was still trying to put together their mission statement. And so I'm going to read you this short narrative from a young lady who was present. She said, "I showed up at Occupy Wall Street with a group of other South Asian students coming from a South Asians for Justice meeting. We saw occupiers passing around and reading a sheet of paper that had the, quote, Declaration of the Occupation of Wall Street title written on the top. I had heard the statement the night before with my friend, and when it was read aloud, echoing all around the room, the line about there being, quote, one race, the human race, formally divided by race and class, it hit me in the stomach. Its naivety was alienating. My friend and I looked at each other, but we tried to shrug it off. But it was then that we realized that this was actually a really important document, that it was going to be sent into the world and be read by thousands of people. If we let it go out into the world written this way, that one line would alienate people like me and make this a movement that we would not be able to get behind. I felt an urgent need to do something, and I couldn't walk away from it. So there's something intense about speaking in front of hundreds of people, but there's something even more intense